What's up, guys?
Mr. White.
Yes. Hi. The gate was 678,000. There were 10,638 people in attendance. Fight of the night, Veneta and Green. And performance of the night went to John Moraga and Demetrius Johnson. What's up?
I want to ask you, first of all, your emotion about the night. You know, it was a great opening that you guys did, and your speech was obviously very good. And I wonder, do you think the fighters reacted to that? Do you think it had an impact on the event itself?
Well, I had a meeting with them. You know, we always have a fighter meeting after the weigh-ins, and I kind of walked them through what tonight was about. And what I really loved, too, is some of the guys were calling asking if they could walk with Nevada flags and stuff like that. The fighters were definitely into it. And you know, with all the shit that's going on in this country right now, I appreciate it that they did. You know, I don't tell anybody what to do or when it comes to political views or any of that type of stuff. Unless it's your music, I'll tell you can't walk to that song or something like that. But other than that, no. So yeah, I was proud of the guys, and I appreciated it.
What was your thought process on going ahead with the event as opposed to saying it's not time to have an event like this this close to such an event?
It's always time. It's always time to have an event. You can't let a coward determine, you know, how everybody else is going to live their life. This type of stuff is happening all over the world now. This is the world we live in, and you just can't back down to this kind of stuff. This thing is so crazy and so weird. It's been driving me nuts for you know, the entire week. You know, no motive, nothing makes sense. You know, the guy's 64 years old and carried all this stuff up there and did it. You know, Tom Petty just died at 66, and this was a guy fucking superhuman 64-year-old. It's just crazy. I'm trying not to think about it anymore, but you know, I've been saying all week, I'm really proud of this city and how everybody's reacted to this thing, from the first responders to the people that were just there helping other people, and then you guys, honestly, well, maybe some of you do, being in the journalist business. You know, companies are fucking cheap, man, and everybody will look for an excuse to not put money into something. And the way that the big guys stepped up in this town and threw in money. I told you guys this week, it's $1 million is $1,600 per person. That doesn't fly you home. That doesn't bury a loved one. That does nothing. But to see, you know, Sheldon Adelson and the MGM and, you know, these guys who all, you know, they're competitors. They don't like each other. They don't ever unite. They don't ever, you know, sometimes they might here and there, but most of the time they don't. Tony Shea at Zappos putting in $1 million. Boyd Gaming, the Fertitas, of course, coming in and do it. It's a big deal. It's a big deal to get everybody to do that. And they did. So pretty awesome, man. Everybody thinks this isn't a real community. This is the realest community. You find out who real people are when shit goes wrong.
I know you said you don't want to talk, and I'll just ask you one last question. I know you're friends with the president. Did you speak to the president on his trip here, and did he have anything to, you know?
I didn't. You know, I'm sure he was busy. I don't mess with him. I let him do his thing, and if he wants to talk to me, he reaches out to me. I've never been in a situation yet where I actually needed the president, so I'll leave him alone and let him do his thing. I think he's got bigger shit to do than to deal with me.
And just to go on the fights, just a couple questions on the fights. Your reaction to me, I thought Demetrius' submission was maybe the best in UFC history. I don't know what you thought of it from your angle. Can you give your opinion of that submission?
I agree, and you guys know what a crazy jiu-jitsu guy Joe Rogan is. You know, Rogan was up in the ring telling, I've never even seen that in a jiu-jitsu match. He goes, it's crazy. This guy's a freak, and it's true. You know, Demetrius is the best, man. He broke Anderson Silva's record and did it in spectacular fashion. And I feel like I disrespected, you know, Ray Borg a little bit with the whole TJ Dillashaw. That kid came to fight. He came to fight. He didn't want to tap to that arm bar. I don't know if you guys talked to him yet. His arm can't be feeling too good, but a stud. And I meant no disrespect.
Do you believe that this submission and how spectacular it was and how great he was overall in the fight, but just that submission will elevate him to the point that we're not talking about how come people don't like him anymore? Do you think this might be the moment that puts him over the top?
I felt like tonight the crowd was chanting his name, and I think people are coming around. That's the thing. Sometimes it takes longer for some people. Crazy to think, but people didn't love Chuck Liddell at one time either. They didn't hate him. They just didn't care. And then Chuck became a massive superstar for us. And Anderson Silva, you and I actually used to talk about it all the time. And then he kicked Vitor in the face and exploded.
And then last question, Tony Ferguson. I mean, to me, that seems, I don't know what your plans are for Conor, but Tony Ferguson obviously seems like a massive fight with Conor right now.
Yeah.
Both guys are great fighters on win streaks, and Tony's a great talker as well. How do you think that plays out, and what is in your mind in terms of Conor, whether he goes to Diaz or whether he goes and unifies with Tony?
Nobody's talked about Diaz. Diaz has never been talked about. That's internet bullshit. Tony's the interim champion. Conor's the champion. It's the fight that makes sense. It's the fight that has to happen. It doesn't make sense. It's the fight that has to happen.
Danny, can you explain the process with Derek Lewis's injury and the Verdun fight?
Yeah, so apparently today, this afternoon, he tried to get out of bed and his back locked up on him. So he the commission was like, if you can't get out of bed, you're not fit to fight, which I agree. You want to hear something crazy? I don't know if you guys ever knew this story. Maybe you did. Matt Hughes in Abu Dhabi, same thing happened to him. His back locked up and he couldn't get out of bed. They had to pull him out of bed, pick him up and stand him up. He was walking like a robot. He went in and fought that night and beat Renzo Gracie. I'm not trying to make Derek Lewis look like a puss or anything. I'm just saying it popped in my head.
Dana, we just, excuse me, sorry. We just had Kevin Lee come in here. He's very emotional. He's obviously gone through a lot this week with the weight cut. What did you think of his performance tonight, all things considered, what he did to get that extra pound off?
He looked awesome. I mean, he looked great tonight. His jiu-jitsu is unbelievable. If you look at his fight with Michael Chiesa and then his fight tonight with Tony, who's known for, great jiu-jitsu, his jiu-jitsu looked unbelievable tonight. Yeah.
It seems like he really strained his body to make that weight. Do you feel for the guy, given what he went through?
Yeah. Listen, we offered him help at the Performance Institute to go in there and work with the guys there to cut the weight. He said, nah, I know what I'm doing. I don't need help cutting weight. And then we got down to the wire and, it was close.
So that kind of leads into what I was going to ask next is, given what he went through, and we almost lost the fight, what, if any, role can the UFC play in helping these guys with cutting weight and kind of changing the culture?
We're doing it with everybody. But he's a grown man. I can't tell him what to do. You either want to come in here and do it the right way or you want to do it your way. That's up to him.
And I don't know if anyone asked you this time. We heard you talk about DJ when he tied the record. Can you definitively say that Demetrious Johnson is the greatest UFC fighter of all time?
Definitely. He's the man. He broke Anderson Silva's record, and it almost seems like in that last round he knew he was going to do it, and he knew how he was going to do it. It was pretty impressive. I don't know if I just said this or not. I'm tired, but Matt Hume, we were talking about how awesome it was, and he goes, he does it in the gym all the time. That's like his move. He does that all the time. It's crazy.
Saw something surface as well that perhaps you're getting close to Holly Holm and Chris Cyborg. Is that close to happening?
Yeah. I think we'll get it done.
Do you know when? How close?
No.
Are you shooting for December 30th, last fight of the...
We'll see what happens. It's not done yet. I can never predict what's going to happen, but I think we'll get it done.
Thank you.
Soon. What's up, buddy?
Hey. Have you talked to Conor about what he's going to do next and when he's going to fight next? I mean, is the December thing likely, or is it not likely at this point?
Not yet. We haven't talked to. We We didn't specifically talk about it, but yeah, we talked about it kind of. He wants to fight again this year. He does want to fight again this year. So he went and partied in Ibiza for a while, and went back home for a while, and you gotta let him blow off some steam, and then we'll figure it out.
And from what you've seen from Tony, especially tonight, what do you like about that fight so much? Do you think that fight will, be another Conor record seller?
Tony's a busy guy, man. He keeps coming forward. He keeps throwing all kinds of different things at you, and Conor's awesome. There's no way that's not a great fight. Impossible. We good?
Hey Dana, just wanted to ask about bringing some of the people who were affected, some of those people I saw on the news this week. How did you get them? How did you get in touch with them? How did you bring them to the event today?
Yeah, I'm pretty close to the police department in this town. I love law enforcement. I'm the opposite of all the crazy shit that's going on right now. I love law enforcement. You don't want to see a day when there's no law enforcement. I can promise you that. And they were instrumental in helping us get a lot of the first responders here. And then, we reached out to the people who were shot. We knew some of them. The two girls that sat next to me tonight that go to high school, they're 17 years old. They got shot, and they go to Faith, where my kids go. So they were it was homecoming last night. They were there. And I talked, the two girls that got shot, their cousin was with them too. And she was actually way worse. Those two are like little rock stars now, man. They're out cruising around, shaking hands and talking to everybody. But their cousin, who isn't getting the media attention that they get, 'cause she didn't get shot, but she does not like being in big crowds. She was really scared last night being at homecoming there. And we got her out tonight, and she was great tonight at the fight. It's almost like you got to jump back on the horse and get back in there and live your life, especially girls that young. They saw dead bodies. They saw people shot in the head. They were shot at. They were shot. I mean, that's tough to overcome when you're that young,
And just curious, where were you on Sunday when this happened, and how did it, did you stay up all night watching? How did it affect you?
I was home, and I turned on the TV at about 10 minutes after 11 and started to watch this thing unfold, and I stayed up all night watching it. It was fucking crazy, man. It's crazy when you watch this stuff and it's 10 minutes down the street from your house. Yeah, it was crazy. But it was weird. I got very little sleep. I woke up the next day, but it's almost like I knew exactly what I had to do, and I started.
And historically, you haven't played the anthem or anything like that at events.
One other time.
33,
9/11.
right? Yeah, UFC
9/11.
33. How did you come to the conclusion of wanting to play that? And Everlast told us that he didn't feel comfortable singing the anthem because of a verse, so he pitched you the idea of the Star-Spangled Banner. Is that accurate?
Yeah, it was a great idea. What he said was, I love the national anthem like anybody does, but it's controversy right now. We don't need controversy. We need unity. This is what I want to sing. And I said, dude, that's a great idea. I love it. And 35 minutes later, he sent me a text message with that version on my phone, and I listened to it, and I was like, love it. Let's do it.
Thank you.
Yep. Thank you, guys. Hey, and what's up? You want to ask something? Yes, sir. And thanks for coming and covering tonight, man. A lot of people get scared, and this is what we have to do. We have to get back out and get on the horse. Go ahead.
Sir, with all due respect, I know that you've been opposed to introducing new weight classes, but given what happened yesterday with Kevin Lee, there's many guys on the fringe, such as Kevin Lee, that could probably thrive in a 165 or 175 division. Does it change your stance on that issue whatsoever?
No, Kevin Lee could have cut weight the right way. He could have gone into the performance. It's all free. It's all available to him. There's no more, I can't afford to do it right. Cost you nothing. Dude, we got guys living over at that place right now. They're eating lunch there. I feel like I'm roommates with Francis Ngannou, okay? That guy lives at the Performance Institute and in the kitchen, and, they get free food. Food is free. Supplements are free. Training is free. Physical therapy is free. The nutritionist to show you how to cut weight the right way, all kinds of crazy, up to date things that tell you where you're at. It's all a science, and we hired the best people in the world and have the best facility in the world, and they can use it anytime they want. He chose not to, and this is where we're at.
How do I get an invite? But even with, we've seen an unprecedented number of interim titles in the last few years, and sometimes they're success stories, like in the featherweight division or the heavyweight division in the past. But right now, we have 2 belts in the lightweight division, and I understand what you're trying to do is unify them, and that's obviously what we all want. But historically, with Conor, I mean, it seems more likely that, that if this was a 165 title, it would get defended before the 155 gets unified.
If there was a 165-pound belt, it would be what? Say that again?
So I understand the reason you're opposed to it. You don't want a situation like boxing where it's convoluted. You have too many belts. But right now in the lightweight division, you have 2 belts. And based on Conor's past history and, this whole entire year as an example, I feel that if this was a 165 belt that Tony has, that it would be defended before the 155 gets unified. I understand you're trying to unify it as soon as possible, but worst case scenario, if it doesn't, it holds, you still have 2 belts in the division.
You lost me. But yeah,
So-
here's the thing.
Fair enough.
Conor, this Floyd thing popped up. It popped up. The thing that the interim belts are good for is you don't clog up the division. You don't have guys sitting around waiting to whatever. Tony deserved it. Tony and Khabib deserved to fight for that belt, right? Khabib didn't make weight. So when crazy shit like this happens that you don't plan for, you have to still give the kid the opportunity. Tony accepted the fight, and now we have an interim champion. There's no question now who gets the shot at Conor. It's pretty definitive, because you can have all these questions about, oh, this Khabib should get it. Oh, this guy should get it. Kevin Lee should get it. There ain't no questions now. Tony Ferguson won in a great fight, fair and square. It's pretty simple. Thank you.